This is Brother Medina for Tuesday, Seventh-day Adventist, and please let us start with a word of prayer. Loving Father, please be with us as we enter into the truths of this program. Help us to explain the lateness of time and show what is going on to people, that they may be prepared for the coming of Jesus Christ and for great destructions that are to take place upon the face of this earth. These mercies we ask of you in Jesus' holy name. Amen. Well, today our study is destroying moral restraints. Destroying moral restraints. And the name of our topic shows that today there is an exponential destruction of moral restraints taking place all over the earth. Today, my dear people, many evils are being propagated by many people in responsible places. They are causing the world to reach the stage of Sodom and Gomorrah, like how they were when God destroyed them. Yes, my dear people. And though some people tell us that things will get better and that the governments of the world will come together and make things get better, the facts are the Bible says that things are going to get worse. If we look at 2 Timothy chapter 3 and we look at verse 13, here is what we are told, I quote, "But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived." Yes, my dear people, we are being told that evil people upon the face of the earth will get worse, and there will be a lot of deception taking place, and many people will be deceived. And this is the sorry state of affair that our earth has currently come into. In fact, moral restraints are being removed by many special interest groups, and when you talk about it, when you show what is wrong, when you show that sodomy is wrong, sodomite marriages are wrong, and many other things, they label you as intolerant. But you see, this idea of intolerance that is pointed out to those who show the wrong, when they tell you you are intolerant because of what they are teaching and what they are doing, when they tell you you are intolerant, they themselves are being intolerant. So look at this first little clip that explains something like this.
Hello, I'm a Christian.
And I'm a homosexual.
I think it's sinful to be a homosexual.
And I think you are an intolerant religious bigot for not agreeing with me.
Why is that?
If you don't think being gay is okay, then you can't tolerate people for who they are. And if you can't tolerate my homosexuality, then you are nothing more than just a sick bigot.
So you are saying that, if I don't agree with you, then I'm just a sick bigot?
Yes, if you don't agree with me, then you are an evil bigot that needs to be tortured to death.
It might just be me, but don't you think you are being the bigot? You are accusing me of not accepting your beliefs, but you seem to refuse to accept mine. Here you are preaching tolerance, but you refuse to tolerate my beliefs.
I had to be intolerant of you. I must intolerate all bigots.
So you are saying you must intolerate all bigots, but you consider all bigots to be people that disagree with you. Don't you think you are being very hypocritical?
No, you people are bigots. I'm not. You think being gay is sinful, but I don't. Therefore you are the bigots, but I'm not.
You are being a bigot. You keep on claiming to be tolerant, yet you refuse to tolerate my position on being a homosexual.
No, I'm tolerant.
Then why do you call people who are against homosexuality bigots?
Because I don't know.
You are intolerant, face it.
No. I'm sick of listening to you bigots. I'm going home, and I'm gonna whine to my mommy.
Yes, my dear people, men in powerful positions think that we Christians are stupid. They call us right-wing Christians, extremists. They think we are stupid, and they try to confuse us about the issues of sodomy. They try to give the impression, oh, you do not know. We have better reasons and stronger reasons for what we are doing. We want to give you an example here in this clip of a debate about sodomite marriages in which Mr. Obama was part of that debate before he became president. Look at how they tried to tie up the gentleman and make him look foolish, and you would see how he answers them properly, because we really know what we are saying. We are saying it is destructive and it is dangerous to society, and therefore governments must not allow sodomite marriages to pass in this country. Take a look at this clip.
Mr. Keyes, on the Channel 7 debate last Thursday night, you said, and I'm quoting you, where procreation is in principle impossible, marriage is irrelevant. You went on to say it was irrelevant and not needed. What about marriage between people who are well beyond their childbearing age? Irrelevant, not needed?
No, it's simply a misunderstanding. The word in principle means relating to the definition of, not relating to particular circumstances. So if an apple has a worm in it, the worm is not part of the definition of the apple. It doesn't change what the apple is in principle. So the fact...
It retains its appleness.
If it retains... it retains... To act as if concepts are laughable means that you want to be irrational. Human beings reason...
You said if it was irrelevant and not needed.
Human beings reason by means of concepts and definition. We also make laws by means of definitions. And if you don't know how to operate with respect for those definitions, you can't make the law. An individual who is impotent or another who is infertile does not change the definition of marriage in principle. Because between a man and a woman, in principle, procreation is always possible. And it is that possibility which gave rise to the institution of marriage in the first place. As a matter of law,
it's still
as a matter of law
possible
and
in principle.
But when it is impossible, as between two males or two females, you're talking about something that's not just incidentally impossible, it's impossible in principle. And that means that if you say that that's a marriage, you are saying marriage can be understood in principle apart from procreation. You have changed its definition in such a way as, in fact, to destroy the necessity for the institution. Since the only reason it has existed in human societies and civilizations was to regulate, from a social point of view, the obligations and responsibilities attendant upon procreation. So when you start playing games in this way, you are actually acting as if the institution has no basis independent of your own arbitrary whim.
There are four basic sexual evils that go together in today's world. Four basic sexual evils that go together in today's world. And they are sodomy, bestiality, incest, and pedophilia. Those are the four. Sodomy, bestiality, incest, and pedophilia. Sodomy is same-sex relationships. Bestiality is having sexual relationships with animals. Incest is having relationship with your family, like father with daughter, mother with son, brother with sister. And then we have pedophilia, that is big people having sexual intercourse with underage children. These four evils go together. But the facts are, when the restraint, the moral restraint of one is removed, the others also go. Yes, my dear people. Once a sexual preference or a sexual orientation, as they call it, is called a right that must not be discriminated against. Once you have a sexual orientation, and they say this is a right, and you mustn't practice any form of discrimination against this, and in this case, sodomy is also called a right. There are no limits to which sinful men will fall in sexual deviation. This is where the world is currently descending to, my dear people. So you see, once you remove one restraint, all the other restraints go. And this is where the world is currently heading to. Observe what this clip tells us.
Senate passed a bill that repealed a part of the Universal Code of Military Justice, the UCMJ, or Uniform Code of Military Justice, which made sodomy and bestiality illegal. They were still illegal, even though the ban on homosexuality in the military had been repealed. The Uniform Code of Military Justice had not been changed. And so they were trying to correct that. Let's take sodomy out of the UCMJ so it's no longer an offense in the military. Well, the same code outlawed bestiality. So when they removed sodomy at the very same time, they removed bestiality as a crime in the military. And yesterday at the presser, Jay Carney was asked by a reporter from WND, used to be known as WorldNet Daily, what about this? Animal abuse is an issue of community safety that should be taken seriously by all government staff. We hope that the public outcry against this inadvertent lapse will inspire the military to take action to make sure that it will be able to fully and appropriately serve and protect all Americans, human and non-human alike. So now we have to protect non-human Americans. Now, what I want you to observe here is that for PETA, the problem with bestiality is not that it degrades people. It's not that it degrades human beings. That's our problem with it. The problem for PETA is that it degrades animals. So that's where PETA is coming from. But Lester Kinsolving from WND asks Jay Carney about this cavalier repeal of the law against bestiality. Here's how it went.
A 93-7 U.S. Senate vote to approve a defense authorization bill that, quote, includes a provision which not only repeals the military law on sodomy, but also repeals the military ban on sex with animals, or bestiality. Does the Commander-in-Chief approve or disapprove of bestiality in our armed forces?
I don't have any comment on. I don't have any comment on that. Let me get another
Does
question.
the President believe
Let's get to something
be
more serious.
approved
Yes,
by all animal support groups such as AF?
I've learned my lesson. I'm done. Lester, I think we'll let everybody get a chance here. Go ahead, Jay.
So you don't want to take any more questions on bestiality?
I'm wondering...
Well, they're laughing about it, but that's a serious deal. I mean, you have an instance of bestiality in the military now. The military has no legal way to deal with that. That's been now normalized, not only, and again, you know, we said once you cross the threshold that sexual intimacy is reserved for a husband and a wife in marriage. Once you cross that threshold, once you get outside those parameters, once you cross that boundary, there is no place to stop. So not only now has the military normalized homosexual behavior in the military, it's also at the same time normalized bestiality.
We have always said that the UN is a source of moral evil all over the world. Yes, my dear people, the United Nations have a habit of spreading evil all over the world, as if they are following some kind of an idea of blessing humanity. Here in this clip, you will see the UN advocating the legislation and the legalization of prostitution and drug use all over the world. They are doing that all over the world, and they are also seeking to get it legislated and legalized in the Caribbean also. Observe what these clips show us.
This is a UN calls for legalizing prostitution worldwide. A report issued by the United Nations-backed Global Commission on HIV and the Law recommends that nations around the world get rid of punitive laws against prostitution, or what it calls consensual sex work, because we know as a society that most women that are involved in prostitution are just treated great. It's a job they take because they went to law school and they've had great opportunities to educate themselves, and they weren't sexually abused or physically abused or degraded or any of that. And they have decided that this is how they want to spend their life. The UN, in its infinite wisdom to help cut down on HIV, says that we should repeal all laws that prohibit adult consensual sex work. You all are idiots.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Blaine Cooper here. The United Nations is the most pathetic, worthless body on the face of the planet. They should be dismantled from the inside out. The United Nations panel recommends legalizing prostitution and drug use worldwide. That's the logic of the UN for you. Although it may sound like a good idea, to some it's not. I don't even know what to say. I'm not even going to read this report.
Yes, my dear people, I have seen documents in which the UN is calling on Caribbean countries to decriminalize prostitution and buggery, which is also sodomy. We should not allow them to destroy our moral restraints, as these restraints are removed by legalizing sodomite unions. Incest and bestiality are now being decriminalized in other places. And in some places, they even have animal brothels in some of those European countries where sodomite marriages have been made legal. They have even opened what we call animal brothels to practice horrible relationships with animals. This is happening in the world today. You see, as you have removed the moral restraints dealing with sodomy, then all the other evils are now coming. So observe what this clip shows us.
All right, let's try and think like liberals here for this one, folks. Switzerland has decided that they're going to look at legitimizing, decriminalizing incest between consenting adults. They say they're going to do this because there's only been 3 cases reported of incest since 1984 in the entire country. So it's basically become an obsolete law. Now, here's where you got to think like a liberal. What is the difference between a girl who is 18 years old and 17 years and 360 days old? About 5 days. Not much. Not much of a difference psychologically, physically, emotionally. She'll be pretty much the same person 5 days later, right? Now remember, this is how liberals think. You rotten, evil, wicked, conservative, right-wing bigot, you are the one. People like you are the people who made laws like this that deprive honest, hard-working Swiss people of their right to fall in love. Because these poor 42-year-old single dads here who have fallen in love with their 16 and 15-year-old daughters are being deprived of their happiness and their fulfillment and their consummation of the relationship because of you. You evil, you fuddy-duddy, you old, stodgy, miserable conservative. You are the people who made things miserable for these poor men who fell in love with their daughters.
In this clip, we are seeing incest is being fought for in Germany as a right that is being discriminated against. And you see, you can go to anything afterwards. Relationships with animals, relationship with family, relationship with little children. Once you remove the guards that have been placed against sodomy, all the others come into operation now as a legal right and as a sexual orientation.
Patrick and Susan are in love. Their love has produced 4 children. Their love is also illegal in Germany because Patrick and Susan are brother and sister. People harass us all the time, call us the incest couple. They have no idea who we really are or how it all happened, Patrick says. I love you, the writing on this pillow says, and that love has resulted in big legal problems. Patrick spent more than 2 years in jail for sleeping with his sister. To try to prevent a return to jail, Patrick and Susan are currently embroiled in a court struggle that has captivated Germany. The couple is trying to get their relationship legalized. This is the German criminal law code. Now, paragraph 173 of this code forbids siblings from having sexual intercourse punishable by up to 2 years in prison. But lawyers for the couple say that the law in this code is discriminatory and therefore unconstitutional. Many other European countries long ago lifted bans on incestuous sex, and Dr. Endrik Wilhelm wants to take Patrick and Susan's case to Germany's highest court.
Incest is not socially harmful, and only socially harmful behavior may be punished. And no government is allowed to punish behavior that is not harmful to society.
But experts like Jürgen Kunze, a professor for human genetics, say children from incestuous relationships are often born with disabilities. Only 50% of children are healthy, 20% have brain damage, and the rest are born with massive physical disabilities, and many die, he says. The first 2 of Patrick and Susan's children were born with disabilities, legal documents say, though it is not known whether these disabilities are related to incest. Youth welfare services have taken all but one of their 4 children away from them. The first child just kind of happened. Then they took the second one away from us, so we wanted to have another one because we'd already lost so much, Patrick says. Patrick and Susan didn't know of each other's existence until they were teens. Patrick was raised by foster parents. Later he found his real mother and his sister. After their mother died, the 2 continued to live together and ended up falling in love. Now they say all they want is to live like a normal family. We really love each other a lot, and we never want to be without each other again. We're already living like a small, happy family, Patrick says. Either way, the couple says they hope German society will one day accept that their love is just as real and just as good as any other.
In this clip, you are going to see that pedophilia, which is big people having relationship with little children, have been legalized and decriminalized in the European Union. Do you see how far they have gone? Once you cross the bridge of a proper marriage, of a legal marriage, a heterosexual marriage between male and female, there is no telling where you will descend and go. Now observe, this is just one clip of many that we have, but this clip shows you that pedophilia have been legalized largely in the European Union. Observe.
The EU Lisbon Treaty of 2007, to all intents and purposes, is identical to the EU Treaty of 2004, the EU Constitution rejected by French and Dutch voters, but with paragraphs being relocated and consequently renumbered. Page 412, Article 21 of the Charter of the Lisbon Treaty is identical to Article 281 in the EU Treaty of 2004 and states, "Any discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or any other factor is prohibited." In all previous treaties, such as the Nice Treaty, there is a protocol which excludes paedophilia from the prohibition of discrimination, NJS 16 org. Staggeringly, in the Lisbon Treaty, and also according to the view of the EU Information Office, there is no protocol on paedophilia. Without such a protocol, the Lisbon Treaty Article 21 legalizes paedophilia in line with other sexual orientations. Some might argue that other articles in the Lisbon Treaty might be interpreted so as to contradict Article 21, but the fact is those writing the EU Charter Article 21 in the Lisbon Treaty were well aware of the exclusion of paedophilia from previous treaties. So was this just an oversight? Hardly. Those national parliaments which have ratified the Lisbon Treaty have been asleep. Many, if not most, members of these parliaments have admitted they've not even read the Lisbon Treaty, preferring to entrust its construction to professional lawyers. However, the authors of the treaty have undoubtedly studied the earlier treaties very carefully to ascertain that all that they desired was carried over in the new treaty, while everything we the people want was omitted. Government officials, therefore, have quietly but deliberately chosen to preserve the nasty crime of paedophilia so that it is now in our culture. How can our politicians and our most senior lawyers have allowed this disgusting practice to become a part of our way of life? Can they really have made paedophilia legal? And what's going to be done with those politicians and lawyers who have granted child abuse respectability?
Yes, my dear people, world leaders are destroying moral restraints that have been imposed upon us by God. World leaders are destroying the moral restraints that have been imposed upon us by God. And this will bring the world under judgments, because from these moral restraints that you remove, you will have spiraling crime. It is getting out of hand. And as a result of evil men and sinners waxing worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived, God is going to destroy the earth. Observe this clip.
Obama administration takes its homosexual agenda global. As a number of African nations put in place and reaffirm anti-homosexual laws, the Obama administration has stepped up its support of the homosexual agenda at the global level. In a recent memorandum, Barack Obama indicated, "I am deeply concerned by the violence and discrimination targeting lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender persons around the world." Hillary Clinton stated, "Some have suggested that gay rights and human rights are separate and distinct." Ms. Clinton said at the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, "But in fact, they are one and the same." Why is Barack Obama promoting a global agenda in support of homosexuality, especially in light of the sexual scandals recently of men in high-ranking positions, including college football coaches, alleged to have committed sexual acts against young boys? Since 1989, I have indicated that the European countries with the highest homosexuality are Denmark and Sweden. But that's only part of the story about these two countries. The other part is that both also have negative birth rates to the level which gives the distinction of being the lowest birth rates in all of Europe. Okay, British Prime Minister David Cameron has proposed that aid monies be predicated on African countries' policies in support of homosexuality.
Finally, my dear people, we must not allow our biblical and moral values to be changed. We must not allow them to change our biblical and moral values. We must not allow our values to be subverted or destroyed by these changes that are taking place in society, which is going to bring about the destruction of society. We must read the Bible, believe the truths that God shows us there, practice the truths that God shows us there, live the truths that God shows us there. We must keep the faith as the world is coming to its end. Finally, my dear people, if you want this DVD, you can call us at 625-0446. 625-0446. We will give you this DVD and the others before it. Also, what you are seeing before you here are our various web addresses. We even have an Escape for Thy Life TV where all our television programs are downloaded for you to view and for you to get copies for yourself too. But whatever you want, you just call us at the number 625-0446 and we will send them at your address free of charge. And until we meet again, may God bless you in Jesus' holy name.